I'm the Hooded Lid and welcome to my channel. You may have noticed that my hair has been getting lighter. About once a year, I will go through a process of highlighting my hair between 3 and 5 times over a period of 3 to 5 weeks. Sometimes I'll do it once a week, sometimes a little bit less. But the idea is to give myself enough lift and enough, I don't know what the word is, enough all over the head to get my desired color, and then I'm kind of low maintenance from there. I'm putting in a picture of last summer. This is before I figured out how to not have my videos so incredibly yellow. In fact, this is probably from my first couple of weeks of doing videos. But you can see that I have kind of a long root, and that's my preference. That way I can do my gray and not have to worry about smudging the root at all. It's already kind of there. And then if I feel like it, I'll do a couple of little highlights to kind of blend it in with the rest of the hair. Oftentimes I don't. So the first time I highlighted my hair this time around was right before my perfume video, Tom Ford Love Prick. So this is my thumbnail. Now the hair looks pretty light here because I'm pretty sure it was raining that day, so I used my umbrella lights by themselves. The light coming from outside was hardly anything. And my umbrella lights are CFL lights, and they run very cool, so they make me look very light and they make my hair look very light. So this was one. So now we go to the second time I did this. I'm starting to get enough lift and enough saturation, for lack of a better word, but I'm not able to get around the temple area because I pull my hair back so often. I wanted to have some highlights here, but it's really tricky to get it very, very close to the temple and to get them thin enough. Oftentimes it's a little too thick, it's a little too far away. So the next time I wanted to hit this area, but I also wanted to hit my second layer. So my hair I considered 3 layers. The shorter layers right through here are actually 2. One is grown out bangs, one a little longer. Then I have another layer about here, and then my longest layer. So I usually do my middle layer, and then I go back and correct or add to the top layer, which I did first, and work a little bit on the sides. And then finally, I was able to get the sides to start right at the temples. Now I have a brassy bit, like right here and right here, from a mistake I made probably a year and a half ago when I was covering my roots, and instead of using a 20 developer, I used a 30, and I got lift. So I've been trying to correct for that, and I thought, why don't I try to do a bunch of little highlights in that brassy area so you don't see it so much. So I ended up getting quite a short root, which I really liked. I hadn't done a short root in a long, long time, but I was kind of digging it. I'm looking at my monitor here, you guys, and I feel like my face is super bright because of where the sun is right now. So I'm going to turn on another umbrella light to balance that out. So if the light changes, that's what it's about. I think it's a little more balanced now, which is important because we're talking about the color of the hair, and I want to try to give you some good light. And while we're off track for a minute here, FYI, I do not shoot and post necessarily in order. So you might see the hair color kind of change a little bit. Sometimes it's a function of the light. As you can see, I just made a teeny change and I look different probably in my face and in my hair. If I'm using more of the cool lights, my face looks a little brighter, my hair looks a little brighter. If it's more warm, same thing, a little more yellow in the face, a little more yellow in the hair. And oftentimes I'll do a video that might take 3 days. Like if I'm doing a palette with a couple of looks, I don't do them all in one day because my lids are a little sensitive. Or if I'm testing a foundation or a concealer, I want to give it several days of wear before I come to conclusions. So oftentimes the hair color kind of jumps around a little bit. Now finally, I got enough lift, and as you can see, there's some butter yellow going on here. There's also a little too much lightness in some places, but I can definitely see on my right hand side, which I think is showing up left for you, some brassiness right there. And sometimes it's along the sides. And once in a while you can see it right around here. And I just don't like it. So I'm almost there, but I want to take care of that brassiness. I want to go for more of a champagne color, a more wheat color. Cool, but not icy cool, not silver, not ash entirely, but somewhat ash. It's, threading a needle, really. And for me, I want to be really, really careful. And I think when you get older, you should consider this as well. Highlights are lovely. Highlights are great. I love highlights. I've been doing highlights since I was 15. I've had them done professionally, but mostly I've done them myself because I'm so fussy. I don't like an ashy highlight. Someone once did an ashy highlight on me, and to me, when you get to a certain age, an ashy highlight or a silver highlight looks like gray. It looks like gray when you're 15 feet away and someone's approaching you. It's just, you want to be careful when you're doing champagne. There is warmth in there, but a little bit. Wheat, same kind of thing. But ash comes very close to gray, and it's not something I want to do at this stage in my life, and probably for the rest of my life. Otherwise, I was really happy with what I got. I got the saturation I wanted, I got the lift I wanted, I was really into the new root that I had created, and I thought it would be pretty easy when I do my gray touch-ups to keep it up. And if it isn't, then I'll just continue to let it grow. I'll do a couple of, stray highlights so it doesn't look too tragic, and it'll be fine. I just wanted to get rid of that brass and cool down the butter. And the temples now were really, really bright and a little bit tragic. When the hair was pulled back, there was quite a difference between this and the hair surrounding it. So I wanted to tone that a little bit. So I've been thinking about doing the Wella Color Charm Toner for maybe a year or so. Soon after I made the mistake with my little roots and got this brassy bit, I was really working hard to figure out how to change that. I watched tons of videos. I looked online. I went to the Wella site. Even though this is not a professional product, Wella hardly has any information at all. In fact, they have no information on their site. There's not even a chart. Now, I get it if you're professional, because maybe there's a secret website somewhere where the information is, or maybe professionals just know. But when you're a regular consumer, you gotta give us something, and I wasn't getting it from Wella, so I had to go other places. And I'm just here to share with you what I found, what I learned, what I did. To me, the Wella Color Charm Toner isn't really a toner. In my day, there used to be a toner that came in the same kind of bottle. So this is a bottle of the Color Charm. Looked like this. Sometimes you can get a tall one. And it was just a liquidy blue-violet liquid. Very runny. And what you were supposed to do was color your hair, highlight it, simple process, whatever floats your boat. You wash all that out, and then you put this liquid in. You don't condition because you're leaving this in. You work this into your hair, you towel dry, you style your hair, you go about your day. I've had that done professionally, and I seem to remember doing it myself. Now, I might not have done it with this bottle. I might have done it with a highlight kit where it came in one of those foils, but I know that I've done it. This needs a developer. So you take this and you put it with a 20 developer. So to me, this is a hair color. Also, supporting the idea that this is a hair color is this comes in several tones and several colors. So you can get ash, silver, or gray. Now, as you can see from this chart, you have to have a certain amount of lift in order to get the deposit correct, which again tells me this isn't really a toner, it's a color, because the same thing happens with colors. Someone will bleach your hair and then they'll lay down the color. So it's interesting that they're calling it a toner. And with a 20 weight, you are going to get some lift. With a 10 weight, you're simply going to get a deposit that is a demi-permanent. It's not going to last very long. In my research here on YouTube, I found one person, I think it was Brad Mondo, who had white hair. And he used this as a toner. So he got a little yellow as time goes on, that happens. He used, I think, a 5 or a 7 developer and put it in his hair, rinsed it off, went about his day. It took out the yellow, but it didn't do any lift because he didn't need any lift. I also saw someone who is professional, but she was doing this on her daughter. So her daughter had long hair, and her hair was pretty dark. I want to say it was maybe a 5. She had done highlights, maybe 1 or 2 lifts. It wasn't really big, and she wanted to go a little lighter for summer. So she mixed a couple of colors in one batch, and then she had another color in another, and she did kind of like balayage, where she was going over the highlights and then hitting some areas that weren't highlight. But she didn't get the whole hair soaked, as I remembered, and I thought this would probably be better for me, because the majority of people that I see on YouTube doing this are single process, either or, single process, for which this product works the best, or people who are highlighted and are using it like a single process. That doesn't always turn out so good. Although in the videos people are showing you, hey, look how great this is. For me, I look at that and I think, not so great. I don't really like that. For me, that's not what to do. If you're single process, this is great. But if you were like me and you're highlighted, it gets a little tricky. I also saw on some swatch tests that people did on lighter hair and then brassier hair that some of these toners actually make the brassier hair darker. So I didn't want to take the chance that I would be coloring my highlights and getting it on my more virgin hair and making that brass, because I'm trying to get rid of my brass. So I knew this was going to be tricky. Now I'm doing it myself, right? I've got a lot of hair and it's pretty long. When I highlight, I do 3 to 5 times just to get everything I need to get, because that works for me. And I probably should have considered doing the same thing with a toner, because this toner you do not want to leave on longer than 30 minutes. And the longer it's on, the more it takes in, right? So if you start over here and you don't come here until 15 minutes later, you're kind of stuck. This side might not get as saturated as this side. But another problem for me, because I'm highlighting, when my hair is wet, I can't really see the highlights. And this is formulated to be used on towel-dried hair. Again, on YouTube I saw people putting it on dry hair. I wouldn't do that, and I'll tell you why. I learned along this journey, wet hair has a different pH than dry hair. So these are formulated to be on wet hair, the pH of wet hair. And the reason I know that is because the instructions are put it on towel-dried hair. So you're taking a chance that you're not going to get what you want straight out of the gate if you're not putting it on wet hair. But when my hair is wet, I can't really see my highlights. And it finally dawned on me, I could start with dry hair, pull out the areas I wanted to get, spray them wet, and then put my concoction on. Good idea, but it didn't entirely work that way. The problem overall for me is I'm dark now. I decided against doing a 20 developer because I loved the lift that I had, and I didn't want to get any more lift. So I thought, I'm going to do a 10. Less damage on the hair, no lift, it'll just take away those brassy bits, tone the butter, get the temple area, it'll be fantastic. But when you mix these in the bowl with their developer, wait 10 minutes, you will see that these are actually dark. If you don't use the 20, you're actually darkening your hair with a 10, and that's what I got. I'm not saying that it's not a nice look, but to me, this is a look I'd want to do in the fall. In the winter, I wanted a blonde look, very, very similar to the blonde look I got, but just tone down the butter, tone down the brass, tone down the stuff where it's a little too whitish. Let me show you what I got. And it looks different in different light, just like everything, right? So in my monitor right now, it doesn't look that bad. It's just not as light as I want, but sometimes it looks kind of gray. It looks a little too ashy. It just depends on what room I am, what my light is like, what time it is. I just didn't get what I want. I'm going to put on my glasses because I want to talk about the colors I chose and why I chose them. And I'm not sure that I made the wrong decision on that. So T11 is a beige base, and you can see on these boxes, these are the three colors I did. There's the blue, which I believe is ash. Yes. There's the beige, which is beige. And there's the silver, which is silver. So I started with T11, which is beige. It has a gold violet base. I thought it would work really well with my lighter bits, the buttery ones, near the front of my face, at the temples. Then I got T14, which is ash. Ash has a violet blue base, and from the swatches that I'm seeing here, which, by the way, let me explain. First you have the lightest one, and the swatch next to it is what your hair looks like when it starts that butter. Then you have one that's a little more brassy, and next to it is what it looks like. So from that swatch, I thought it would be great on my brassier tones because it takes out that brass, but it's not too ashy. And then for silver, I thought that would actually work well with both my two buttery pieces and my two brassy pieces, so I could kind of put it wherever I wanted to. And I think my selections were okay. I'm not sure. So that's the overall picture. I did shoot using this, until the camera stopped. I'm like, okay, I got to deal with this because I only have a half an hour. So I'm going to show you some of that footage now so you can get an idea. It didn't really work as I thought it would. I couldn't pull the highlight and just do it, I decided to take a comb and comb through to make sure there weren't any spots, because there's nothing more fun than some color right here, a spot that you missed, and then color down here. So I did comb through, and I'm not sure if that was a bad thing or a good thing, because I also used the one for brass right at the root, because I feel like my roots are always a little bit brassy from doing my gray, and then combed a little bit as if I was smudging so that there would be a nice segue from that to whatever I was using on the rest of the hair. So I'm going to show you that, and then we're going to come back for some conclusions. Never mind. All right, I have got 3 bowls. I have the 14, and I put a piece of tape on each bowl telling me what number. I have the 14, I have the 11, I have the 10, I've done the ratio 2 to 1. I've got gloves, I've got the spray bottle, and a towel to put on my legs so I don't stain my clothes. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little afraid, you guys. Now I have a teeny mirror here. This is not a big mirror. If I had a big Ricky or something, I'd feel a little more comfortable, but we're gonna do it. All right, you guys, so this is my before. I lifted enough to kind of get a buttery blonde, but I think I would prefer it to be a little more, not buttery, a little more champagne-y. And right here, when it's quite blonde, I want to tone that down a little bit. Same thing over here, got some brassiness over here, and some toning down, and just show you what's going on here. So I think what I'm going to do is section off. I'm going to do some T10 right through here. And make sure I got the ends nicely. And this is where we're getting into kind of a brassy zone. And that's for T14. So I'm just going to do everything right here. You guys, So the brassy one is 14. Okay. The 11. Kind of pull it through. Now, again, it's not horrible. Let me just kind of turn for you and show you what's going on here. It's not horrible. It's just not what I want. And it's still not what I want. If I had this to do over again, knowing what I know now, I probably would do it with a 20 developer, and I would do it like I do my highlights. You don't have to use this whole bottle. It's a 2-to-1 ratio. So I could have taken 1 tablespoon of this, 2 tablespoons of the developer, mixed it up, and just hit the brassy areas, and just hit the temple areas, because that's what bothered me the most. Rinse it out, go about my day, and take a look. See if I want to do anything else. It just kind of breaks my heart, because when I look at these photos, this is so close to what I wanted. It's just 90% there. I just wanted to get those brassy bits out and the overdone areas at the temple. And there's a little bit of brass through the length of the hair that I wanted to get out. That was all. And now I feel like I'm back to 1. The good news is that I used a 10, which means it's demi-permanent, and it's possible a couple of washes with a clarifying shampoo might help lift this up. Hopefully, God willing, evenly. I don't know what to do from here. I thought maybe I'll highlight, but the truth is all this highlighting I did, it damaged my hair. And even though there's now a toner over it, that hair's still damaged. So I would be highlighting the very same bits again. And there's a part of me that thinks, I don't think I want to do that. I think maybe this is something I leave to a pro. So when salons are open, maybe I will indulge and get myself, you know, some $700 a head kind of person, some superstar here, and just have a real luxury experience getting it done exactly the way I want. But here's the thing, I have never had my hair colored exactly the way I want, ever. That's part of the reason, a major part of the reason I do it myself. But technically, there are things that I don't know. Professional hairstylists have gone to school for this. They understand color. They understand the science behind it, not only your skin tones and what looks good on your skin tones, but how you get from A to B, what the opposite is, what works well together, what kind of damage you have done, how can they reverse it without doing more damage. So if you're one of those people, I would love to know. If you're feeling generous, let me know below. What do you think I can do to make it just a little lighter? Or should I just wash and wash as regular, maybe a little more than regular, to help get this toner out? And then what do I do? And if you're not one of those people, I'm making this video for you because I think seeing somebody's failure is just as, or maybe more instructive than seeing someone's success. because this is not a professional product, it's very hard to find a professional using this product on YouTube. I've only seen one, and I didn't really like the result. A lot of people who post theirs are loving their result. They're using it as a toner even though they're highlighted, and they're showing it as a success, but I look at it and I think, I don't really like that. That's not what I'm going for. Professionals use a different kind of product that we don't have access to. They've been schooled, they have the skill, they have the tools, they have the product. And it's hard to match that when you're working from home. So I'm offering you, this is my failure. It's not a horrible failure, it's not blue, it's not green. That's a good thing. But if I were to do it again, I'd do it differently. And I hope that that is helpful to you. And that's it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful to you, and I hope you come back again. Be safe and smart, and until we meet again, I'm wishing you good health.